so in this phrase over a C7 dominant chord, we're really emphasizing the sound of the Lydian flat 7 mode. So if you're not sure what that is, you can check that out inside the Melodic Minor course. But basically, we're talking about the fourth mode of Melodic Minor. So if I'm talking about C Lydian flat 7, which has a root, a second degree, a third, a sharp 4, 5, natural 5, 6, and a flat 7, that would be kind of like a mixed Lydian scale, where we raise by a half step the fourth degree, and then we get that Lydian kind of brighty sound. Very, very spacey and dreamy sound that you can start applying over your dominant 7 lines. So in this line, basically, again, the fourth mode of Melodic Minor. So you can also think about this scale, C Lydian flat 7, as being G Melodic Minor, right? Because if we count 4 degrees from G melodic, we have G, A, B flat, and here's our C right here. So G, A, B flat, C, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth mode of Melodic Minor, Lydian flat 7. So the phrase goes like this. We start, as you can see, by approaching over here chromatically the 5th degree. So you see this G is the 5 of C, and I'm just going like this, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so basically just going into the 5 with a chromatic approach below, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then the next thing is what I like calling a diatonic enclosure, basically just moving around a target tone using the notes of the scale. So we have, so as you can see, this kind of movement here is going from the 7 to the root to the 9 of the chord, back to the 7, and back to the root. So all of this was kind of building into this downbeat here, moving from the flat 7 to the root. So whenever you're phrasing, you can start coming up with ideas from the scale, aiming into notes from the scale. Like if I wanted to aim to the 2nd degree here, D, which is the 9 of C, I could go, right? And then I can come up with these stuff. It's very melodic, and it also puts kind of like a target tone in the center of your phrasing. So that's really building intention with your phrases. Oh, right. So right after that, chromatic note, diatonic enclosure, I go into this reversed arpeggio, which is basically just C7 reverse. So root, flat 7, 5th, and 3rd. So you get this. Okay, so there's contrary motion here. There's basically chromatic approaches, enclosures, and then reversing an arpeggio. Then I'm doing what I feel it's kind of like an enclosure in its nature. It's playing the 4th degree, kind of suspending the sound, and then going to the 6 here, and then going from there to the 5. So I kind of have this receive very like kind of sound. So this is also a way of moving between chord tones, knowing what you're doing, getting some movement from the scale into chord tones. In this case, 4, suspending 4, 6, 5. So after I play that enclosure, I start moving into the 3rd here. So I have the 5th going here. You see with a scalar movement into this augmented triad. Okay, so this augmented triad is actually from the mode. Like if you play the Lydian flat 7 scale, you can see that from our tritone here. or from our second degree, we get this beautiful augmented that can be built. Now the augmented triad is symmetrical, meaning that between each of its chord tones you have two tones, meaning that it's a major third in all of them. So it's symmetrical, so you can basically go either just to the second degree here and think about that as an augmented, or you can think about a tritone above the root, or you can think from the 7, that's a beautiful voicing. And that's how I just improvised that line here. You see, that's the first time that we're really getting that tension here. Then after that, I'm going here into some movement from the scale. Again, back into our augmented triad right over here. So really beautiful kind of major augmented triad with a major 7 sound. Right, so leading me back to my 5, now my natural 5 here. And then movement from the scale, like tone scale your movement. Just like, just like going with the scale. And then we have, again, back to scale movement here, Lydian flat 7. Kind of like a classic movement with that Lydian flat 7 here. Kind of like the lick, I guess. So putting that together, we have So that's how you start putting all the different elements that we are mastering throughout the Galactic Modern Guitar course in your playing. You have 51 of those and also so many etudes that are waiting for you within each one of the Galactic Modern Guitar modules. Remember, we learn, we practice the fundamentals, and then we put everything together to start creating beautiful phrases like this one.